this first session was useful, indeed, to start off on the right foot as the clock is ticking.
So there's more that unites us than that divides us. So while there will undoubtedly be challenging times ahead of us in the negotiations, we will do all that we can to ensure that we deliver a deal that works in the best interests of all citizens.
Well, Daniel Hannan joins me now. He is a Conservative member of the European Parliament for South East England and the author of the book Why Vote Leave. He joins me now from Brussels. Good to have you with us. We heard today that there was a positive agreement, a good start to the talks. What did you make of it?
Yes, I think it was, and that's to be expected. We have a continuing interest in each other's prosperity. I mean, Britain wants to have a successful and wealthy European Union next door, if for no other reason than that prosperous neighbours make good customers. And I think that the reverse applies. So I hope that at the end of this process, instead of being the grudging tenants that we've been these past 40 years, we'll become the best of neighbours.
The Prime Minister called that snap election and it did backfire. She didn't get the mandate that she needed. Does she have the weaker hand here going into these negotiations?
Well, it's actually the most pro-Brexit House of Commons we've ever had, in the sense that 85% of MPs were elected for parties promising to implement the referendum result, as opposed to 13% in the last House of Commons. I don't think there's going to be any real change from the deal that was, or the proposed deal that was set up by the UK government before. We want to have the closest relationship with our European allies. We want to be their military and trading and security partners. We want to preserve the bits of the deal that are working, but we want to live under our own laws, and we want gradually to be able to reorient towards a more global trading policy and a more deregulated economic policy at home. And I think that's a process that can unfold in an agreed and cordial fashion.
There is a lot to work through over the next couple of years. What do you think will be the most complex of the negotiations?
Well, you've already touched on the issues involving Ireland. All sides, London, Dublin and Brussels, agree that we do not want a hard border in Ireland. I think that's perfectly achievable. We have a common travel area at the moment that includes the UK and Ireland, which are in the EU, and that also includes the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man that are outside the EU. So it's something that can be managed feasibly, but it's going to require a certain amount of finessing. And then, of course, there's going to be arguments about agriculture and fisheries and so on, and of course there'll be a big row about the budget. But I think on the big fundamentals, the continuation of a free trade area, the continuation of security and military links and so on, and indeed reciprocal rights for each other's nationals who've already settled in each other's territory, I think the two sides are very close together.
Big businesses in the UK are really pushing for a softer Brexit. There's a lot of fear amongst business in the UK. Should there be?
No, I think those fears are misplaced. I think we will end up outside the single market in the literal sense that we're not bound by the European Commission in court, because we'll be outside their jurisdiction. But having done that, there's no reason why we shouldn't replicate quite a lot of the contents of the single market regulation. There are lots of non-EU states that do this very successfully, from Guernsey and Jersey to Switzerland. They're outside the single market in a legal sense, but through bilateral treaty and through domestic legislation, they mimic quite a lot of it. And, you know, I can't help noticing that they're managing pretty well. The Swiss export nearly 5 times as much per head to the EU from the outside as we do. It's plainly not an impediment to a successful trading relationship. But the Swiss have the huge advantage that we can now look forward to of also being able to sign their own free trade agreements with the United States, with China, with India, with Australia. And that's something that I think is going to significantly boost our economy in the years to come.
All right, Daniel Hannan, great to get your perspective on all of that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, with Brexit negotiations officially underway, Theresa May is still working on solidifying her alliance with Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party. In his first foreign trip since taking office, the newly elected Prime Minister of the Republic of Ireland visited 10 Downing Street. And he said that any border that exists between the Republic and Northern Ireland after Brexit must be invisible. Now, speaking at a joint press conference on Monday, Mrs May said she wants to maintain a common travel area with Ireland after Brexit.
I'm personally committed to ensuring a practical solution that recognises the unique economic, social, cultural and political context of the land border with Ireland, which so many people pass through every day. And it will remain our priority to work closely with the Irish Government to ensure a frictionless and seamless border as possible.